Reclamation, The Rise at Standing Rock is a short documentary, and it's about the Native people's resistance to the $3.8 billion pipeline that was going through their treaty land. And this is the first time in 150 years that all the Native nations united to do a prayerful, spiritual, peaceful resistance to this pipeline. And the people, the young people that organized this, they believe that they are the seventh generation, which is this sacred generation. That was a prophecy from Sitting Bull. So 150 years ago, Sitting Bull said, 7 generations from my time will be these young people will rise up in a peaceful way and unite all the nations against something that will happen to Mother Earth. Yeah. So they are in this sacred protection of Unchimaka, Mother Earth.
Personally, the plight of the Native Americans is something we hear a lot about, but we don't really know the specifics of, being English. Can you just talk a little to what the oil has done to these people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not only the English that don't really know. I mean, we in the States don't really know all the things that have happened to the Native Americans. And you know, when they talk about 500 years, they've been genocided, they've had their treaty land, they've been pushed into, you know, inhabitable land, and they've made it, I mean, they've honored their earth, their water, their, you know, everything. And then what's happening with the oil is that the underground, they go under the water, and the oil leaks, and it contaminates not only the earth but their livelihood, yeah. Their, you know, the water, the animals, everything. And so in this particular situation in Standing Rock, they were designing the pipeline to go through the burial lands, so through the ancestors' lands and through all their ceremonial lands. So it was 380 different sites that they were crushing through. And the original pipeline was supposed to go through near the governor's house, near Bismarck, and of course that was not going to be happening. So they rescheduled it.
Is the Dakota Access Pipeline then, is that a government project or is that a private enterprise?
That's a very interesting question. It's privately funded, okay. But it's also, the idea is, and it's funded by European companies, banks in the U.S., Donald Trump, many investors, and what they tell them is this is the only way that we can, you know, we can do things for you, for the environment, and it's not. It's anti that. It's like fracking or anything like that.
I mean, I may have got the wrong end of the stick here. So is the oil underneath their land?
No, they are putting a pipeline and then flush the oil through that pipeline. They are moving oil. Right. They are moving oil through the land. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I see. Yeah. And they don't want to put that.
No, it's not that they've discovered oil in North Dakota.
No, yeah. I was just wondering the irony of moving the Native American population to somewhere that has oil and then saying, actually, we'll have that oil. Thanks. Yeah. Can you also tell us a little bit about who Crazy Horse was? Because I've not heard of him.
Oh, Crazy Horse.
Outside of the name, I have heard of Crazy Horse, but I have no idea.
Oh, well, Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull were both not only spiritual leaders, but people who believe that they had, especially Sitting Bull had visions and these prophecies, and Crazy Horse was also of this. And so when they talk about Crazy Horse lives inside of us, Crazy Horse, the prophecy of to live as a warrior is not to take a life, okay, but to protect and honor what they're sacred, which is not only their community, but Mother Earth, the land, you know. So Crazy Horse was, let's see, the easiest one is he defeated Custer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
So, because Custer came in when Crazy Horse was 7, okay, and killed his entire village. And so Crazy Horse had a plan.
Okay.
and
Right.
that was his plan.
And Sitting Bull is the one who had the seventh generation prophecy.
Correct, and he had many different prophecies. He had the Custer prophecy. He drew years before Custer was defeated, all the Custer and the cavalry upside down, and so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he had the seventh generation prophecy. So the prophecy that the seventh generation is a particularly sacred one.
Mm-hmm.
And so these young people, I mean, what I want to really convey in the movie is that when I arrived, there were 6 people. And when I left, there was 15,000 from all over the world.
Amazing.
Yeah,
How long did you spend with them?
So from June through December, and then on and off from till March.
Oh wow! So,
Yeah.
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 That grew incredibly quickly. So this 150 years you mentioned, it was mentioned briefly in the trailer there.
Right.
Was the reason the tribes haven't you reunited in that time because of feuds between the tribes?
Yes, and they had to forgive one another for
Okay.
that. And so this was also too, I think they had never been asked. So
Okay.
what was really fascinating with Standing Rock, one of the many things that are fascinating with Standing Rock, is that the Native people felt very isolated on these different reservations and in their different tribal communities. And then when they all came together, not only did they forgive each other and unite in ceremony and in this cause, this sacred cause, but what was really, really fascinating is in some communities, they had lost their language because of assimilation, because what we did as early on white people, we took all the Indian children, put them in Indian schools, cut their hair, and took their language and their ceremonies from them. So what was really fascinating is that their ceremonies and language were reclaimed. So one of the reasons why I call it reclamation is because they were not only trying to reclaim their treaty land and their rights and the land, all that, but they also reclaim themselves. So when Lewis talks about reclaiming himself, he's talking about it from his stories, all his stories. So they were able to, in these big fires at every night, they were able to talk to one another, to share songs, to share ceremonies, to share all of this. And it was very moving.
How comfortable were the Native people with you? I mean, you're a white American. Like, how comfortable were they with you coming in and documenting their story?
Oh yeah, that was fun. No, they are very welcoming,
Right.
and they. I came as an ally. I believed in their cause. I believed in, and we didn't really know how long it was going to go. It wasn't like you got a script and said, okay. And when I came in and I met these young people, I could not believe these women in the beginning were like 19, 20, 21. And LaDonna Bravebull, who you saw in the beginning, she's the Lakota historian, and she was, bringing, inspiring and mentoring these young women. And these women were like, that's it, we're not going to take this anymore. We're going to stop this. And so you just thought that the police came in and Obama, stopped the pipeline. So we thought, okay, in September, we thought everything's cool, and then not happening. And then it got more militarized, and then it was, a lot of tear gas and rubber bullets and water cannons and violence, and it was.
It sounds difficult.
Yeah.
I have been given the wrap up, so
Sorry.
I'll just ask one. No, it's not your fault. No. It's me going on. It just sounds really interesting. I have so many questions and notes I've made here. What am I going to pick? I know what I'm going to pick. I'm not going to ask you what advice would you give to an independent filmmaker. I'm going to be selfish. In the trailer, they mentioned that it's like a war, and you were just touching down on the violence. But this is a peaceful protest, so why this heavy-handed response?
I think because they wanted to stop it.
Okay.
They saw that the success of it, and they felt like that if they scared all the allies and they scared everyone, and it's because, as this one because they're mercenaries that were hired. So you have the police, you have the National Guard, and then the pipeline hired these Blackwater and Tiger Swan people, and they came in to do real harm. They wanted to not only arrest everyone, but to hurt everyone. And they did it because they're Native people.
Right.
I just wanted to say about how did they welcome me, I wanted to go back to that, is that they're not only welcoming, but they are, they want their message and their voices heard. So one of the things I tried to do was have that, to have the Native voices heard as their storytellers.
Michelle, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. That was wonderful.
Thank you.